Very good morning, everyone. Looks like some of us have still not taken our morning coffee or tea, and our energy levels are still like somewhere on lower side. Okay, to start with, we'll talk about payment data security and compliance. But before that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Swati Sharma. I have been in payment domain for almost 15 years. I started my journey as PCI QSA, which is a kind of licensed auditor for PCI DSS compliance. And then I joined AWS. I think Mr. Pandey was talking about cloud, so I was working with one of the cloud service provider, and I used to help financial customers in enabling their compliance journey and security journey on cloud, AWS cloud. 2 years back, I decided to move to retail side of Amazon, and I was taking care of Amazon Middle East and Singapore region as CISO. I was taking care of payment regulated business there. And few months back, I moved to global role taking care of all information security policies for Amazon. So whatever I'll be talking, it will be like based on my overall experience so far. Nothing is specific to Amazon. Don't relate it with Amazon Pay, or don't assume that I'm talking on behalf of Amazon Pay at any point of time while talking. So can someone guess like what is a percentage that we have from India when it comes to digital payment as compared to global market? Any wild guess? You need not to be like absolute correct in terms of your number. Any guess? 80%? 50? 60? 70%? If you compare the global digital transaction, digital payment transaction, we make 46% of overall digital payment transaction worldwide. This number has drastically changed after demonetization, which happened in 2016. Post that, we have observed a drastic 900% increase in UPI payments, and obviously some contribution of this 46% is actually coming from other digital payments as well, including your debit cards, credit cards. Recently, what RBI has observed that this digital transaction, if we talk about the percentage, the debit card usage is declining. And that makes sense. UPI growing, I think it makes sense that people find it more convenient with a smartphone access and internet access that they make their payment directly with phones, right? And they have some alternate option of using wallets. While coming here, I was reading one billboard which says PhonePe is available in Singapore. Recently, UPI has progressed, and now you can actually do UPI payment not only in India, you can do this in UAE, Singapore, and some other countries as well. So if I talk about one flagship project on digital payment side, I think UPI is definitely the winner in that category. So UPI is outperforming all other modes of payment transaction. Now talking specifically about payment data security, why this data is very interesting for hackers and attackers. First, it immediately gives you some access to financial information that they can translate into money immediately. Second, this data gives them information which is related with personal identity, right? So this data is related with or comes in personal data category also, so it gives them information that they may need for performing some other attacks. And then this information obviously gives them some other benefits, like if they want to do some non-financial transactions also, this gives them some edge. I think India realized it that payment data is going to be crucial, and that's why in 2017, 2018, the payment data localization requirements came from RBI. And RBI clearly said that payment transaction data has to be stored in India. They said if you want to process this data outside India, completely okay, you can do that, but actual data storage has to happen in India. And that came long before your DPDP, which came recently in 2023. So RBI has been one of the pioneer regulator. I would say it is at par or sometime better than any other regulator worldwide. I have worked with other payment regulators, like globally also I have worked with Middle East regulators and Singapore regulators as well. But when it comes to security scrutiny, the enforcement, the security requirements, RBI is doing amazing work, honestly speaking. And as on date, if someone asks me that, do you feel comfortable in making digital transaction in India? I feel more secure when I do transaction in India as compared to US, because I know that multi-factor authentication will be there or some other factors will be included. And because of RBI regulation, the minimal bar of security is better in India. Does it mean that India, the payment data breaches are not happening? Answer is no. I was looking at some data. Last 6 months, there was one payment gateway which got breached, and the amount that was impacted was approximately 16,000 crore rupees. So irrespective of these securities, these compliance requirements, the payment data is getting breached because, as I explained, this data is like really of interest for attackers and they gain really high value from this data. If I talk about security and compliance for this data, I can bifurcate it into two parts. I think some of you may have already worked on PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. This is international industry standard. This is not regulation, this is not law, but this is industry standard which was formed by 5 major payment brands, Visa, MasterCard, JCB, American Express and JCB. They came together, they formed PCI SSC, and they formed this standard called PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. What that particular standard is and what it does, it says any entity processing, storing or transmitting cardholder data, payment cardholder data, they have to comply with PCI DSS. PCI DSS is actually an umbrella term or a standard which is divided into 12 security requirements. It starts from perimeter, it talks about network security, it talks about perimeter security, what kind of controls you need to have, if you have firewalls in place or if you're using cloud infrastructure, how your security groups need to be configured. So it talks about perimeter security in the first requirement. Second requirement, it talks about system level security, what kind of operating system hardening need to be done for your scoped system if you are dealing with payment card data. Requirement 3 talks about encrypting your cardholder data and not storing sensitive authentication data. So it talks about how you need to store cardholder data if you need to store it, and then you have to apply encryption algorithms like AES 256 or what should be the minimum key management criteria that need to be applied. So it talks about all detailed requirements around the storage of your cardholder data requirements. It also says that do not store CVV2 or PIN, or in simple language we call it authentication data post authorization. So once your transaction is completed, do not store your authentication data. Then it comes to what security protocols need to be applied when you are transmitting your cardholder data. It talks about system level controls, antivirus, vulnerability management, secure development of the application and systems. It talks about logical access control, physical access controls. It talks about vulnerability management, log management, and then it talks about your policy management, incident management, service provider, vendor management, and it also talks about your policies, procedure, people related control. It looks very simple, but trust me, when it comes to implementing PCI DSS, at least for first 2 years, it's a nightmare for any organization. The first complexity comes when you have to do scoping and segmentation in your environment. PCI is very peculiar in a way that how you can implement these compliance requirements, because it says even if your system is connected, that connected system is also in a scope. So if you don't have network segmentation in place, the entire network will be considered as flat network, and the entire network, flat network, will come into scope. So I think the first exercise that you have to do if you are going for PCI DSS compliance is to do a proper network scoping and segmentation to reduce your scope and minimize the risk. Coming on the second part, this is PCI DSS standard. It is international industry standard, not a law or regulation. It means if you're doing business in India, US, Middle East, US, anywhere, this is applicable on you and you have to apply with it. Generally, it comes in form of contractual requirement from your bank or from your customer or service provider. So it works in contractual obligation form. Coming on the other side, when we are talking about India, India has very specific set of payment regulations from RBI. RBI came up with PAPG guidelines in 2016, and then they have recently came up with payment system related master direction as well, where they talked about like what security controls need to be deployed on your payment system based on what kind of transaction it is performing. RBI has multiple guidelines based on what kind of payment instrument you are dealing with. For example, if you are card system, the separate set of requirements are applicable. If you are a wallet service provider, the separate set of requirements are applicable. I think one major change or drastic step that RBI has taken is RBI has came up with a very specific requirement where they said not everybody can store the cardholder data. They talk about tokenization. They came up with a requirement around tokenization, and they said only issuing companies can have the full card number. Rest entities, including service providers and merchants, they have to deal with tokenized card numbers. What is tokenized card number? Any idea, any guess? What is tokenized card numbers, if anyone has heard about it? You can give a like wild guess, need not to be like absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. So instead of actual card number, your payment service provider or your bank or issuing company, they will generate a token against your actual card. Virtual number or your token will be utilized for transaction. What it does, it reduces the exposure of your actual card number, and it prevents your card number from being like duplicated or being breached. Most of these mechanisms are good when it comes to organizational control. If someone is saying that, okay, we have PCI DSS, we have like RBI regulation, why still a lot of people are getting duped, or why there are individual level scams which are happening? Imagine someone calling you and asking you for your card number, right? And you provide them the card number and other details. None of these compliance requirements can do anything in that, right? So if human or the card user or the payment user itself is not being cognizant about how that data should be secured or how they should use their data safely, I think no compliance requirement or industry framework will be able to take care of the security or safety related or the fraudulent transactions. Most of these frameworks or regulations, they come up for the security controls which work at the organizational level, which means your data will be protected at the server or database when it is being processed by organization. But when it comes to individual users, I think user awareness, making sure that you are sharing your details with only authorized users and being like performing all the due diligence when sharing all these financial data is something which comes to the users as a end user responsibility. And RBI and PCI, they are doing a lot of awareness campaign to take care of these, but still I think I always like hear some or other way that these payment data is getting breached, and like fraudsters are getting a new way of exploiting the user behavior. If some of you may have seen the movie I think Jamtara was the name, and like very basic people, they were not like techies or hackers. They used to make call and like people were happily sharing their payment details with them. So to come up or to summarize, all these payment industry standards or regulations, they will be defeated if end user is not taking care of their data properly. So if you are concerned about the payment data for like end user perspective, make sure that you are not sharing it over call or some email, not clicking on some of the SMS, and making sure that your data is being dealt securely. And if you are organizational responsible person for these standards, please make sure that you identify what is applicable on you, and based on the applicability, you start implementing the security frameworks and regulations which are required for your business or for your contractual obligation. With this, I'll say thank you for being amazing audience in early morning and bearing such technical discussion in early hours. So thanks a lot for that. Any question? More than happy to answer that. Yes, please.
We talked about the PCI DSS. In India, how many payment companies and the payment banks are compliant with that PCI DSS in India now?
Sure. So recently, if you'll talk about, I think this percentage has increased. I can't give you exact number, but this percentage has increased because of two reasons. One, definitely the global organization. For example, if you are part of some global organization, the contractual requirements are getting better, and entities are enforcing that with more due diligence, the PCI DSS requirement. The second and major reason is RBI has mandated PCI DSS requirement compliance in two circulars. One was related with acquiring business. For example, if you are merchant and connecting bank, PCI DSS is mandatory for you, and there are liabilities and fines if you don't abide with that. Second, recently payment system security master direction which came in 2023, that also enforces PCI DSS for certain entity. Does it mean that everybody is compliant? Answer is no. You can still do business. You have to pay higher transaction fee. You have to pay higher charges for connectivity, and you can still do business without getting these compliances. But at least in last 10 years, I have seen that the compliance adoption has increased significantly in India. NPCI is also playing significant role, because if you have to connect with NPCI, they ask for PCI DSS compliance, AOC and all. So it has increased. Has it reached to 100% compliance? Answer is no. Yes, now it is associated. So there are two circulars which talks about PCI DSS compliance for a specific type of business, not all type of business.
Can we have a mic over there, please? And over there also.
Does the token contain the last 4 digits of the card?
Not necessary.
Because that last 4 digits pop up automatically when you're making payment. For the user to relate. If the token does not has that, how is the service provider being able to provide that last 4 digits back to the user?
Very valid question. So if you look at the card number, right, mostly it is 16-digit card number. It can be actually anywhere from 13 to 19 digit as on date. First 6 digits are actually associated with bank and payment network. Middle digits are something which is sensitive in nature, and that's why you see most of the payment slips or system, they truncate it. Last 4 digit is actually associated with individual user. Last 4 digits are allowed to be stored by the service providers, merchants and banks. It is allowed by RBI as well as by the PCI DSS. Tokens should not contain the clear text card number. So token has to be separate, and last 4 digits can be stored separately. So that's pretty much allowed by the regulators as well as by the PCI DSS standard applicability. Possibility is there, but it is on lower side. If you actually need to crack the entire number, you need that middle digit, that is the actually key portion of your card number.
Thank you, Swati, for walking us on the payment data. I have a couple of questions. India witnessed exponential growth in the digital transactions from last couple of years. In spite of user awareness, we still see a massive data breaches where the consumers lost everything in their savings. So first question is, what is missing over here? Though there are a lot of campaigns which is being run by RBI, what is missing? How we can spread more awareness at the ground level? Second question is on the PCI version 4.0. Though they have introduced this customized approach, initially we have this traditional approach. Do you think this customized approach might leave have a loophole where organizations say that, hey, we cannot go by the traditional approach, but we are following the customized approach because of XYZ reason? Do you think this is a demerit, sort of a disadvantage, or should we be stick to the traditional approach? Your thoughts on that?
Sure. So I'll answer it in reverse. I'll talk about the last question first. So just to set the context, PCI DSS is a standard and it comes with new version every 3 years. Why it comes with new version? So that it can address the industry need and security need of the growing threat and security landscape. Recently, PCI DSS came up with its latest version, which is 4.0. And in 4.0, they have come up with something which is people have never seen it before in earlier version, which is customized approach. It says that you can implement PCI DSS requirement by customizing the way, right? Some of the controls, you need not to implement it as it is written, you can actually customize it. Customization, if you ask me that is it required, my answer is yes, it was a required step. PCI SSC was blamed for being very stringent, not being adaptive to the industry need for a long time. I have been part of some of the PCI SSC SIG group in past, and I think one constant blame on them was they don't adapt the standard with the growing need of the industry in terms of ease of business. So understanding that part, and they have also understood that with cloud requirements, virtualization, AI growing, they have to make sure that in the organizations which are implementing it, they must have mechanism to raise the bar of security. So what they did, they said you have to perform very specific risk analysis. This risk analysis results need to be validated by your QSA, your auditor, PCI auditor. It has to be agreed by both the auditee and QSA company, and then only you can go for customization. Will it create some chaos? Answer is yes, it will create chaos, at least in next 3 years, but I think after some time it will settle down and industry will benefit from the customized approach that PCI SSC has introduced with. Coming back on your previous question, the frauds which are happening, I think where we are going wrong, I think we have regulations, we have industry, awareness, all those campaigns. I think law enforcement has to work better slightly. If someone is duped, still people don't know where to complain. Even if they complain, do they get their money? I think that's not that easy. And law enforcement agencies, sometimes they themselves are not aware how to deal with these cyber frauds. I think some initiatives are there, cyber cells are increasing, there are dedicated thanas for cyber complaints, but I think still there is a space to work more in that particular law enforcement area.
Thanks, Swati.